G'day guys, and welcome to the VEMA Trader Account Risk Calculator. So lately we've had a couple of requests from people who don't keep their entire trading account on the exchange. They might have it spread across multiple exchanges. They might have some money on the exchange and then the rest in cold storage. And they're wondering how to calculate 1% risk across their entire trading account. Now this is something that we will automate as much as we can into VEMA in the future. It's quite a highly requested feature request, but the guys are hard at work on some other projects, some pretty cool things like ASX stocks is coming soon. And so I thought, well, in the meantime, this is something I actually can help with. I can't code, so I can't help with a lot of issues that users hit, but I can make reasonably okay spreadsheets. They're not the best, but they work. So that's what I've done. I have made a spreadsheet to help you guys, in the meantime, until we do manage to automate this process for you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is head to the spreadsheet. So you can find it in this article, depending on where you're watching the video. You're either already in this article or you are on YouTube, and I'll put a link to the article in the description. And then you can find a link to the spreadsheet under Make Your Own Copy. When you head to the spreadsheet, you'll actually notice it is locked. And the reason that this spreadsheet is locked is because if it wasn't, then everyone would actually be looking at the same spreadsheet, which would mean that every time you put a value in here, you'd be overriding someone else's value, and people could, break the formulas and do different things. So what you're going to want to do to get your own copy that you actually can edit is go to File, then Make a Copy. When you click Make a Copy, you will get a copy of it that you actually can edit it. So this will become your own calculator. No one else will have access to this, and you'll be able to edit things as you please. So there's two things to notice. The first is that there is a big green, these columns should be edited, and a big red, this column contains formulas and should not be edited. This is basically saying, hey, don't touch this entire column, right? C, you don't need to touch, there's formulas in there. If you start touching things, you're probably going to break things. You'll see that over on trading account as well. There is an amount to be risked, which is editable. That's why I've given it the green background. And there is total USDT value, which is red, saying, hey, don't touch this. Because what it's actually doing is summing up this column. And if you start overriding things in there, you're potentially going to break things. So that's an important one to notice is green is go, red is stop, do not touch. Once you understand that, the next thing to understand is, are you trading purely in USD? Is your entire trading account USD only, and you're only trading for USD settled pairs? Or are you also keeping some of your trading account in Bitcoin or alts? And are you trading on BitMEX and trading for Bitcoin, right, in the XBT settled contracts? So depending on that, you're going to want to select the relevant sheet, either USD only or USD and BTC balances. Excuse me, if you do have alts, I would factor them into BTC, and I'll explain that in a second. But we'll start with the USD one because it's probably the easiest way to wrap your head around. It's a little bit simpler. So what you're going to want to start doing is setting your accounts. You're going to want to put those values in. So let's say that we have a BitGet account, which is the API key that we have hooked up to VEMA, and we have 1,000 USD in there. You will see that the calculator says the account risk to match your specified account risk, which is the amount to be risked, is 1%, which makes sense, right? Currently 100% of our trading account, as far as VEMA knows, is just this BitGet account. So we might as well just be putting on 1% risk because that is how we get 1% of our total trading account. Where it starts to actually show some differences is when we start adding in other accounts. So let's say that we have a BitMEX account, which also has $1,000 in it. You'll note that the account risk has now changed to 2%. And the reason for that is that we actually have half of our trading account on BitGet and half on BitMEX. So if I want to be risking 1% when I'm trading on BitGet, I actually need to risk 2% of my entire BitGet account to be risking 2% of my total trading account, right? And the same for BitMEX. If we add in, let's say, cold storage, and let's say we have 10 grand there, you'll see that the calculator now tells us to start using 12% risk, right, on BitGet, because it would be, I guess, 1/12 of our total trading account, the BitGet balance. So if VEMA sees $1,000, would traditionally say, here's your 1% account risk, but because we're actually wanting to trade off our total trading account, which is $12,000, not the $1,000, we want to be using 12% account risk. Now, if you only have the one API key hooked up to VEMA, this becomes really simple, right? So imagine that I don't have a BitMEX account that I'm using to trade, and that is instead like cash under a mattress. that I consider part of my trading account? Well, if I only have the one, that was not what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. If I only have the one API key hooked up to VEMA, what I can actually do is come to my settings, right? Customization, and then I can actually change my default account risk. So the calculator is saying, hey, when you're trading on BitGet, if you are using 12% risk on your BitGet account, that is actually risking 1% of your entire trading account, given these values. So what I can do here is set my default account risk to 12%, save that change, and then all of my live trades that I'm taking on BitGet are going to be risking 12% of that $1,000, which means they're actually going to be risking 1% of my total trading account of $12,000. So if you only have the one API key hooked up to VEMA, that makes things super, super simple. If you do have more than one account hooked up to VEMA, it's still not bad. You just have to keep an eye on things. So let's imagine that Cash Under Mattress was actually my BitMEX USD account. And let's make it a different amount, so it's not always 12%. So let's say I had $500 in here. Then I would just have to keep track. So if I was to be placing a trade on BitGet, I know I need the 11.5% account risk. And if I was placing a trade on BitMEX, I would want 23%. So all that would mean is when I was setting up a trade, we're on BitGet, so we want to use the 11.5% account risk. That way we're risking 11.5% of our BitGet account, which is 1% of our entire trading account balance. So that's it for the USD only accounts. The next up is the USD and Bitcoin balances. So the USD and Bitcoin sheet of this calculator is pretty similar to the USD. There are a couple of key differences. So the first point to start is some columns should be edited, that's why they're in green. Some should not, that's why they're in red. Similar in the trading account, there are now a few more red sections. So you'll see the first one is the Bitcoin USD price. Now that actually automatically updates. So you can see Google says it's delayed by 20 minutes. It's a Google Finance feature. But the 20-minute delay, unless Bitcoin is extremely volatile, it's never going to be a big enough price difference that it's really going to matter for your risk management. If it is slightly out, it's not something that I would worry about. Then you have the total account value in Bitcoin and the total account value in USD. You'll see what these do in a second. And then you again have your amount to be risked. This is probably the only thing that you should be editing in this trading account section. So let's imagine we have our BitGet account back. Now, BitGet is USD futures only, so we're going to have no Bitcoin in there because we only have USD. But we will have 1,000 USD again, and so you can see that we just get that 1% account risk. We have $1,000 account value in USD. It makes sense because we just told the calculator we had $1,000 in USD. The key difference here is we now have an account value in BTC. So what the calculator is doing is it's using this live Bitcoin price, saying, okay, I have $1,000, that actually buys me how much Bitcoin? And the answer is 0.0150. The easy way to check this one is you can just put in the current price, 664.6.20, and you should get, oh no, what did I miss? 66, oh, I missed a 6, that'll do it. 666. You should get one Bitcoin, right? Because I have exactly enough USD to buy one Bitcoin right now. So that's what that field is doing. And then I don't get a BTC account risk because I have no BTC in this account. So I can't take trades for Bitcoin. So imagine that I now add my BitMEX account, and let's say I have 0.1 Bitcoin in this account and no USD. Well, you'll see that the reverse now happens. So even though I said I had no USD, what the calculator has done is it's giving my 0.1 Bitcoin a USD account value. So you know that 0.1 is 10%. So the account value in USD of that BitMEX account is going to be 10% of whatever the current Bitcoin price is. The account value in BTC of that is going to be 0.1 because that's what we told the calculator. And the account risk in USD doesn't appear because I have no USD, so I can't take a USD trade. The account risk in BTC is 1.15%. Now you might be saying, hang on, if 100% of my BTC is in this BitMEX account, why isn't it just 1% risk? Why is it 1.15? Well, that's the beauty of this calculator, is that it actually calculates your total account value in Bitcoin, right? So you can see that over here, and your total account value in USD as a function of both your USD stored account and your Bitcoin stored account. So it is basically adding up all of this, giving you a total value in both USD and Bitcoin, and then calculating your 1% risk accordingly. So in fact, let's make this match what's in the BitMEX account. So it might make things a little bit easier. 6664.62. You'll now see that I basically have half of my account worth in BitMEX and half of my account worth in BitGet, even though they're in two different currencies. One's in Bitcoin, one's in USD. In that case, I'd want to be risking 2% of each account to be risking 1% of my total trading account's value. So that's really the strength of this sheet, is that it allows you to set both Bitcoin and USD amounts, and then the calculator will tell you across your entire trading account, including the bits that are in Bitcoin and the bits that are in USD, how much you should be risking of each thing to be getting to 1% risk of your total trading account. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about here is if you have alts as part of your trading account. So some people will. In that case, we're going to pretend they're on our cold storage. Now, most cold storages that I've seen, and certainly I believe all the exchanges that I've seen, will give you your total portfolio value in both USD and BTC. So I might have 50 different alts. It's going to give me like a summary value in BTC. If you have alts in your trading account, I would use that summary value in Bitcoin. So let's say that it was telling me that I had 0.35 BTC total worth in my cold storage wallet. I would use that value. And the reason that I would use that value over the USD amount it might be telling me is that all of those alts are likely to move with Bitcoin. So if today that account was worth, say, $10,000 and I put 10,000 here, if Bitcoin goes ballistic and does something, tomorrow that account might be worth 20,000. And unless I come back and update this calculator, it's not going to know that. Whereas if I said it was 0.35 or whatever the amount would be in Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does double, it's going to track with that because this calculator knows the current price of Bitcoin. So if you do have some of your trading account in alts, I would recommend using the BTC amount to show them or to reflect them. One key thing to realize is that imagine if I had, let's say I had 0.35 in Bitcoin and in alts, and I had a separate 5,000 in USD. It's really important that you don't double count that, right? So my cold storage might be telling me that my total account value was 0.4. This is super rough numbers, right? It's obviously going to be different. I don't know what 5,000 would get me right now, but it might be telling me that my Bitcoin amount was 0.4 because it's including this USD amount. So you either want to just not bother putting the USD in and have 0.4 here, or actually separate, okay, my entire Bitcoin and alt portfolio is worth 0.35, and then I have that $5,000 in USDT specifically. It's really important not to double count that, or you will start messing with your risk management. So that's really it for how to use the calculator. The last thing that I wanted to touch on is how often should you update this calculator? Because obviously as your account balance grows or shrinks, this calculator doesn't know. It doesn't have access to your trades. It doesn't know if you're winning or losing trades. So you do want to update this calculator reasonably often. Now what reasonably often is going to be will depend on two main things. It's going to depend on your trading style, and it's also going to depend on whether you have USD and Bitcoin. So if you are a scalper who takes, let's say, 10 trades a day on average, I would recommend updating this every day, if not intraday, like within a couple of trades, because your account balance is going to change much more rapidly. Whereas if you are a high time frame trader, you can probably update this once a week, maybe once a month, depending on how many trades you're taking in the week. The optimum is obviously to update it with every trade, so it is spot on accurate. But in reality, I know that I probably wouldn't do that, and I'm not asking you guys to. It's up to you what you're going to do. I wouldn't be too concerned if I took a few trades, my account balance changed by a little bit. It's not going to make that big of a difference. I might be risking 1.05% or 0.98% of my account. To me, that's going to be close. There's other things that are going to have more of a factor on my risk management than those little differences. But the other key is if you do have some of your account in Bitcoin and in USD, then when Bitcoin has volatile moves, right, if it goes from 50 to 60,000, that's actually going to make a pretty big difference to your account risk. So it's really important to keep an eye on what Bitcoin's doing. Obviously, the price here is going to update for you, but your account risk may change. So let's say at the start of the week, this is telling me to use 5.4% on my BitMEX account. If Bitcoin goes ballistic, I might come back, Friday when Bitcoin's up at 80,000, and the calculator is going to be telling me to use, I think, less of my account, because the Bitcoin section of that account is now worth more. So those are the two key things to think about in terms of how often you update this. It's going to be how often you're trading, and if you do have both Bitcoin and USD balances, Bitcoin's volatility will also affect this and potentially, change how often you want to update it. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you get good use out of the calculator. Obviously, long term, I can't wait to see this actually built into VEMA so that you don't really have to touch most of this. It's handled for you. But until the devs are finished with stocks and some of the very cool stuff they're working on, I thought this would be a nice little thing that I could get to you guys after speaking to you, some of you who were having trouble with this side of things. That's it from me. Have a great day. Happy trading, and I will talk to you very soon.